Hey, and welcome back. I had some time over the weekend and here and there in between to work on this. I did a lot of things actually. I managed to get rid of like every private data access of the structure we had before. I replaced everything using the API and the addict API now to access entities provided by the QuakeC VM. Um, I fixed a couple of bugs here and there, and I think it works. Even though I took a few shortcuts. For instance, I had to remove a few things. Like I think I definitely broke load game and save game for some reason. Well, the reason being that parsing addicts is a huge pain in the butt. Um, I had to rip out a few things from this whole addict parsing because the original code would parse like a huge string of entities. I can actually should be able to show you. Let's start E1 M1. We should have access to edicts. This is word spawn. And word spawn also has a model. Somewhere in this huge mess. Mod. Should be the first one, yeah. Bingo, this one. So you can see there's this structure, entities. Well, this looks horrendous. Why can I open it? Okay, perfect. This is what I wanted. Okay, this is the entity structure. So every map, every BSB file has this part of a text file in them, and they define edicts or like the entities. Edicts is like this low-level device where entities can sit on, and the actually entity is then steering the addict and vice versa. So anyway, there's this huge text file which is defining like every entity. Every entity has a class name. As you can see, like we always start with word spawn. This is setting some parameters on the map. Word spawn is also connected to the first model being the map. And yeah, and then it starts listing all like every entity you need, like lights, player start, and whatnot. Anyway, the point being, parsing this file structure would definitely write into the private data structures again of each edict, which is connected to the QuakeC VM. And I had to remove this because I need the structure so I can work on it in my game reimplementation done in JavaScript. So I'm actually filling up a dictionary here. Like you can see, it's a map. And yeah, there's this function load from file, which is parsing this huge document. And this is one part of the story. And there's some actually in host. There's load game, save game. It's doing kind of similar thing. It's also parsing here. Definitely, I think I broke it because I didn't really look into this code. This is like trying to look up some QuakeC definitions and set them and stuff like that. And yeah, definitely broken. So don't try loading and saving a game. It's completely garbage. But I have to fix it at some point. Anyway, the point being, I worked on this quite a bit. I also tried to separate the way how the game would create or pre-allocate edicts. It's still doing it, but it can be expanded, so there's no more max edict limit, which I don't know if it's good or bad, but I remember like seeing on engines built on top of Quake, like Gold Source, crashing because you would step over the max edicts. Anyway, this is now a little bit better structured. I also had to break apart like the way how the data structure behind is handled. There's this API. So in the past, I used this to hook into to provide the edict proxy, I called it, which is a class which is mapping all the fields from entities back in the engine. I'm not sure if I like the idea or I like the structure I introduced here. So there's like this API.class name, which is if the game is running in QuakeC mode, then it's basically mapping everything back. I don't know if any one of you has ever looked into source code. It's quite hideous at some point because I started writing this what's called edict proxy, which is doing some really magic things. It's basically trying to provide you an object with getters and setters, which is then in turn trying to access the data structure behind each edict on entity. It's this is straight mapping into the QuakeC world. This is like the binary representation of every setting. So it's usually a floating point number. Sometimes it's an integer. Integer is used when it's a field, a function, an entity. Everything else, or like a string. String is more complicated because there's some string mapping and memory. So this proxy class is doing heavy lifting actually to map back and forth between QuakeC world and JavaScript world in a more convenient way. It took a lot of search and replace to get rid of like 600 of direct memory access and put the API or this proxy in between, but it works. You can also call functions. Anyway, this is the prelude to actually what I've been working on. I want to break out the game logic from the engine as it is. I still want to define interfaces, but I want to go into really JavaScript world, which this project is actually about, rewriting Quake in modern JavaScript, as you can see here. So this is a proposed structure I'm playing around now. So because I have a few loose ideas how to structure it from my past experience working on game engines, but this is where I want to go. There's going to be a game API. There's actually going to be a server and a client game API. The traditional Quake engine, it only had, also like I think Quake 2, it only has a server game API where people could write mods for the games, but only like decide what enemies, items, and game logic is there, but not really influence the UI except for the graphics if they were exchanging the pictures or like the graphics. But I think only with Quake 3 they introduced also like the UI part. Over at Gold Source they introduced the CL DLL, which is this client DLL code, which is providing you all the utilities you need to render like the HUD and a few other things. Anyway, so I start with the game logic because the server-side API, because this is what we want to do. I already created a base entity, which has a bunch of these fields you definitely need to have for each entity. I'm here introducing world spawn, but there's nothing in it yet, and there's also gonna be like this factory which is mapping class names to the corresponding entity class. Yeah, this is what I've been working on. There has been a few changes also to host. I broke the GIF command because there's lots of accessing fields. Like, look at this. This is again accessing the private data of the addict right into the QuakeC VM again. And I didn't want to re-implement all of this because I don't know. What I did though is I re-implemented the give command in a way that you can actually specify the item you want to drop or drop in front of you and take. Let's, without a further ado, let's do this. Can give class name, give item, shells. They will spawn in front of you. And this is actually quite cool. It was quite easy and trivial to implement this. Once you have the API ready, and once you have you fix the bug how to spawn actually entities, because yeah, weird reasons. But yeah, this time it's super trivial. There's this like give command. We're gonna check if it starts with item or weapon. Otherwise, you could also spawn like monsters. Anyway, yeah, then the actual command, we get the player. We check the view angel. There's a nice function on my vector class, which is producing from the view angels proper vectors describing the direction you're looking. This is the forward vector. And then it's basic math, like linear algebra. Forward vector, it's normalized, so each component is between 0 and 1. You multiply it by 64 units. This is like the distance you want to have, and describes the new point. And then this vector we just created, like this 64 units in front of you, we added to our position. So you take the origin point, also the vector, you add this vector on top of it, and then you have the new point, and then you say like, hey, spawn this item, and there you go, it drops. And I bound it to a key. I can drop it a few times. You can pick it up. Yeah, straightforward. I also started playing around with the logic. Works also quite well. And from here, I then decided like, okay, let's go and dive into the game API stuff. Yeah, and this is gonna be the more interesting part, I think, because now it's down to re-implementing all the logic from QuakeC in a more structured JavaScript way. And yeah, let's go to this code snippet, which is actually loading stuff. Okay, now it's crashing because it says server game API prepare entity, no entity factory for player. The next message is coming from SV's spawn server, cannot start server. The game does not know what a player entity is, which is right because my game API, it is only defining world spawn. Next up, we need to define the player. So this is what we're gonna do here. We can do this and player entity should be lying around already here. Yeah, like this. We're using modern JavaScript features. So this is a JavaScript module. We can import and export stuff. In this case, we imported player entity. We put it to our entity factory. Player entity is defined as this. Let's see what happens next. I think it's gonna crash. Yeah, okay, now it's screaming for more features we actually need to implement on our game API. So there's a couple of functions which is provided by the game, such as start frame. And there are a couple more. We can actually look them up by searching through the code. Like this. Actually, it gets us quite a lot of stuff. We are not looking for this. Okay, we're also not looking for any space. Okay, perfect. So you can see there's a few bunch of functions which are called every time. Client disconnect is one of them. Client kill, client connect, put in server. These functions we need to re-implement because they would be provided in the past by the QuakeC proxy, which would map its functions to a JavaScript proxy function. And yeah, let's see what happens if we start implementing those. I mean, I guess there's gonna be a lot of errors because we are gonna start from scratch. Also need to fix a little bit the convention because I'm not happy with this capital S whatnot. Yeah, start frame. I've actually no clue why it's null. Ah yeah, I remember. So there's yeah, explanation time. I introduced a small hack into the function proxy. Function proxy is quite ugly. Where's our actual call? Here it is. So whenever we are calling a proxied function, we're gonna look at if it's actually describing an entity, because this function proxy, it can also describe the global state. There's like a global data area and an entity data area, and depending if the function proxy was called or created with an entity in mind or without, it's behaving differently. So in this case, if it's bound to an entity, the first we're gonna set self. Quick reminder, what was self? In QuakeC code, you can see like let's open entities and let's go to item shells. So self is always pointing to the current entity, and yeah, this is what we are setting basically. We're gonna use the bound entity and set self, and then essentially we're gonna take the first argument and pass it as other, because other is a global variable in QuakeC, which is often used to describe like a relationship between two things. Other might be someone touching something, like key touch, for instance. Here it checks if like the thing which is touching it, if it's the player, the player is still healthy and alive and stuff. And yeah, this is used quite often, so I decided like, okay, let's make it like the first argument, because every function call into the QuakeC, inside there's no arguments set, or barely any. So I'm doing this here. Anyway, this is the quick refresh on what's the function proxy doing. And that's why this is actually taking no argument, because it doesn't make any sense in our situation. Anyway, this is a start frame. Let's see. We got the next situation. We have an entity, word spawn entity, and we need to implement the think function, because entities can also describe a bunch of functions. Let's go to here we can implement them like empty. Think is one of them. Think is called, I think, every 10 milliseconds. But I'm not sure. It's like 0.1. Oh, interesting. So we have a crash because we trying to access, yeah, undefined. Oh, min's is defined, max is not defined. Oh, strange. How so? Easy. A typo. Whoops. Okay. Yeah. Model is not pre-cached. How did that happen? Okay, got it. This is the word spawning function, which also gets called. And we actually have to tell the game engine that we need prox player pre-cached. Actually, this behavior seeing here that it's dropping completely out of the game, not ideal, I think. I should handle it more gracefully, but anyway, this is like a super minor low priority fix. Yeah, let's go here. Word spawn entity. We have a spawn function, which is basically mimicking the structure we have for these kind of functions. So yeah, let's do this. Every base entity has also engine API. Engine API is supposed to be connected to the game engine interface, which is defined in here. It provides a bunch of important functions the game needs to access, like pre-cache model. Let's do it like this. One might ask why I'm doing it like this, that every entity gets a reference to this interface. I actually want to step back again from those static method declarations, because actually my plan is to decouple the whole server logic from the global state and turn it into like a proper class so that I can create instances of servers. Because my idea is to have in future like a way to create like instant lobbies that you can open up the game in the browser, and then you can create a lobby and send a link to a friend, and you can decide like, okay, let's play the second episode, and then you can join without spawning dedicated servers over and over again, but have inside of server like server instances which can appear and disappear. So in order to enable this, we need to refactor a little bit the Quake architecture. We need to get rid of this global state it has, and we need to turn like everything more encapsulated. But this is more like a midterm, long-term feature. First, we need to focus on this one. Nice, pretty good. Pre-cache worked. We need to implement another function called set new palms. If I recall correctly, set new palms is preparing a couple of things for. Okay, this looks like what weapons we have. Actually, I've never really looked into this decode level. Oh, okay. Okay, pretty cool. Oh, where did we see this? Oh, here, set new palms. Palms 1 to 9. This is global state, which we can have. Okay, let's see, where do we have those kind of things defined? I think it's also defined by the QC. Oh, perfect. How should we go about this? What do you think? Should we introduce like devs? Dev? Actually, no clue. Let's keep it simple. Let's create a file called devs. Okay. We could make it an object. Okay, like this. Cool. Let's call it items. Because this also is perfect. Great. Now we need to export items. Actually, we can put it in front here, right? Professional JavaScript developer. Haha. Anyway, we have defined it like this. Let's go back to our game API. We need to import capital I, lowercase I. What should I take? No clue. We need items. Either way. No, we can do this. Okay. Nice. Player pre-think. This method is called before any physics calculation is done. And then afterwards, after linking, we have the post think. Let's stop them. Okay, next up, client think. Client connect. Client connect is actually also quite interesting. Let's quickly check. Okay, I thought it would be more interesting when you stand corrected. It's quite boring. It's sending a broadcast message to everyone. But actually, we can re-implement this. I think it was broadcast. Broadcast print, yeah. Edit API net name enter the game new line. for the future. Also make sure that we copy over comments. Next up, put client in server. This is more interesting. Yeah, this is gonna be more interesting. Oh, actually, seeing self referenced here. How's it called again? Okay, on the addict. Got it. This should be already pre-allocated, somewhat half-assed, because what we are doing here in the new world, we're actually instantiating entity classes. And QuakeC, the word over there, it is setting class name first, and then you can kind of call the constructor of the class later, which I had to mimic in a few points to keep compatibility with QuakeC. So it's not nice. Anyway, let's copy over all of this. Call this self real quick. Now we rename it to addict. Okay, time. Time should be on this. Okay, we need those. Part const, damage. Same spiel as before. But this time I do it. Oh shit. This time I do it manually. Solid slide box was one of the more important features. Actually, one feature I'm quite excited about, I wanted to implement at some point, is an actual physics engine. Because we already have some information on models, even though it's quite stupid. It's just a box, but you have the dimensions, the bounding box. And then you could actually simulate physics using a physics engine. It would be quite interesting to see how much effort it is to actually implement this. I remember watching the Valve Half-Life 20th anniversary movie, or like documentary they made a few weeks ago, and I remember they were mentioning a few times the physics engine they implemented to the source engine. Or was it from the documentary, or was it from a commentary on the game? I don't. Well, it doesn't really matter. But the point being is, they had a few issues actually with like how to sync actually back between the Quake style physics engine and the Havoc physics engine, because they were sometimes off by one computation errors or different simulation realities, and then they came up with the idea like, okay, let's see if it's not a huge difference, let's stick with one of the two values, but don't let them fight, which is actually quite interesting approach to this. Okay, we got the structure. Flags, flags, flags. Starting writing bullshit, it's too late. Yeah. Let's see how far we come in the next couple of minutes. Starting to get a little bit sleepy. Nice. Everyone should learn regex. It's such a great skill to have. It's like available in so many tools and it's gonna help you. Okay, where are we stuck now? Can read properties of undefined. Reading 2. Okay. What kind of entity is it? Player. Neat. Let's... Where should we put this? A new field. We could put it here and have it available for every entity. Let's do it for the time being. Oh, Punch Angel. True. Punch Angel is used to have this animation. If you get damage, you will feel a punch. Your fuse moving a bit. Okay. Um, Interesting. I mean, it's the first sign of life from the game code being rewritten in JavaScript. This is a major accomplishment in this project. Oh, it's complaining about a lot of things. Oh yeah, the missing entities. Yeah, makes sense. Interesting. I wonder why facing direction is so weird. Let's go check. This should be, was it 1? Yeah, that's us. Pretty cool. We have addict. We have the player entity sitting. Oh wait, how stupid. Let's go back and check Where are we actually setting? We need to do something. We should write into the right structure. We angle. Okay. We're not moving though. Let's go and check the code. Maybe we can see if it's like a easy fix to get the movement back in place. Move, move, move. Maybe one of the think. Man, I have no clue where to search for this move. Setting to no clip shouldn't do anything, right? Let's see. Yeah, it's a fault. Yeah, I need to go and study the code a little bit. But so far I'm not unhappy. We have a couple of yeah, we have the first two entities. They're pretty dumb. We have world spawn, we have player. We make sure that all base entity is set and has everything we need for the game engine to actually work with it. Pretty good. Yeah, many errors. Many errors. Man. Player entered the game. Wow. Anyway, let's wrap it up for today. This is yep, quite a journey. We're getting closer to actually rewrite Quake in modern JavaScript. And oh yeah, there are a few things I haven't mentioned actually. I took care of a few bugs or issues, deprecated function calls like loading stuff with blocking IO. So I started working on a few async await function calls. But I'm not there yet. There are a few things which are yeah, like this one. This is still blocking. There's some stuff in the architecture I actually need to change. Anyway, I think this is the biggest news that I really managed to separate the game more and more from the game engine and have like well-defined interfaces. And yeah, now we can go nuts. All right, thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope this was somewhat interesting for you. Let me know down in the comments. I know someone was asking about networking. Um, yeah, I also want to make a video on that because this is quite interesting how networking evolved and actually works in Quake. And I had my fair share of fun with it when I was re-implementing WebSockets communication, because right now we have networking back. There are still some features being used from Quake, how Quake used to do networking, but it's not really that necessary anymore, especially with this TCP and WebSockets and whatnot. It's yeah, anyway, this is for another video. Um Again, I hope you liked it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the structure. Maybe I'm on a wrong path. For me, it's quite interesting to venture in this and also learn a little bit about game engines. Anyway, bye. Have a good one.